Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zahn Dental's A Look in the Lab. I'm Fran Parathyras, and today's webinar is Education Options in an Evolving Digital Landscape. I'd like to welcome my guests today. Each of them will represent three options in dental laboratory education, one being an associate degree program, another being a technical diploma program, and the last being Zahn Dental's customer-facing education and training opportunities. I'd like to welcome first Daniel Alter. Daniel is an MDT, CDT, MSc, executive editor of IDT, and the professor of restorative dentistry at New York's College of Technology in Brooklyn, New York. This college is one of 13 accredited programs in the United States. Prospective students who wish to attend this two-year program will obtain an associate's degree upon completion. Welcome, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Fran.
Now I'd like to welcome Nicole Jackson. Nicole is a CDT, TE, and the 2022 NADL Educator of the Year. She is also the lead faculty and program chair of the Dental Technician Program at Milwaukee Area Technical College. Prospective students enrolling in this one-year program will receive a technical diploma in dental laboratory technology. Welcome. Thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us today.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And I'd also like to welcome Matt Viens. Matt is a technical support supervisor and high-tech trainer for Zahn Dental. Matt and his team support ongoing education and training for laboratory technicians in the workplace. This customer-facing education takes place on-site or virtually. Today, we'll be discussing their perspectives on achieving higher education in the field of dental laboratory technology and how their programs support technicians keep up in this ever-evolving landscape. They also will discuss how they have such a passion for learning and furthering education for others. I'd like to welcome you all again, and Zahn and I would like to thank you for taking your time out today for joining us and being able to discuss your expertise with our viewers out there. First question that I'd like to bring out to Dan and Nicole is, can you tell me a little bit about your program and the curriculum that you're teaching these prospective dental technicians today? Like, how does that look? First, I'll start with you, Dan.
Absolutely. And thank you again. It's both an honor and a pleasure to be here and share this panel discussion. So here in New York City College of Technology, we have a two-year associates program that is over 4 different semesters that both teaches the fundamentals of laboratory for all fixed, removable, which means crown and bridge, ceramics, partial dentures, including orthodontics, and now implantology, and everything through and through. So we utilize not only the all 6 modules, but also in both analog and digital forms so that they're best prepared to be gainfully employed. With that said, not only does it have the technical proficiency, but as an associate's program, there's general education. And general education consists of, the English, the math, the science, and so on and so forth, that allows our students to be able to get a solid foundation of dental laboratory technology, but it also affords them the opportunity to become critical thinkers and problem solvers once they're in the employment environment. So it really, it's a robust program that really is very successful and provides a great resource for the profession at large. And we're reaping the rewards certainly for our students, but also laboratory owners and manufacturers alike with our students. So we're very excited about it. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And Nicole, can you tell us a little bit about your program?
Sure. METC has offered METC dental technician based program. About 20 years ago or so, it transitioned over to a technical diploma. It was once offered as an associate's degree, and it's remained a technical diploma since. The advantage in a technical diploma is it's a concentrated time frame. So students start in fall, they graduate in spring. So they start in August and graduate in May, potentially. And in that offering, it's really a condensed technical package. So all of the coursework is technically driven for theoretical and practical study. And then with that, there are like portions of English requirements to expand upon like written and verbal communications to support industry experiences too. And we focus on crown and bridge as well, or fixed prosthodontics, if you will. And we also focus on complete dentures. We are a little bit different in comparison to a 2-year degree in that the specialty lies there. And so we've got a lot to talk about in our discussion today and everything that's going on here, but the program is very versatile and offering a very dynamic and robust program to support graduation and students entering directly into industry.
Okay, so I know that Daniel's is an accredited program. Yours is a recognized program with the NBC. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
And Matt, I'd like to turn it over to you. Can you give us a little bit of a background of the ongoing education process that we have over at Zahn?
Sure, of course. So when you get a customer that has purchased any sort of equipment or software from us, the first thing that we do is we reach out and we schedule a personalized training developed around that software and that equipment package that helps the customer kind of utilize and enter into the digital industry with that equipment and be successful within their labs. So what we do at Zahn is we take that personalized training, we develop it around the customer's needs and basically adapt it to whatever the customer is usually utilizing in their lab, and allows it to basically help them enter into the digital industry with their lab.
Excellent. And that is from purchase. So from purchase, it's support and training on that piece of equipment.
Correct. Yes. So we'll start with the purchase, and then it goes into the training, and then from there we have an ongoing technical support team that allows them to advance their education as they utilize that equipment or that software. And if they have any troubles or issues or just need any sort of questions answered relative to that, we have this team that allows us to respond to those needs.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. So I want to talk a little bit about the students and what they actually need to get into those programs. Is there any type of entrance exam that needs to be taken? And about how many students do you accept yearly? Dan, can I start with you?
Of course, of course. So we here at New York City College of Technology, we're, as you mentioned, we're an accredited program from the Commission on Dental Accreditation, which is under the auspice of the ADA. And what that means is that there's several standards that we have to meet. And thankfully, and I'm proud to say that not only do we meet it, but we also exceed, as I mentioned, with digital technology and implantology and so on and so forth. So they're seeing a combination of both, the conventional or traditional, whichever or whatever have you, to digital, and they're seeing the process by which the fabrication process is. So our incoming students, we have 60 incoming students at any given time, meaning, let me rephrase that, we have 60 students that are coming in every fall. So with a 2-year program, we have anywhere from about 100 to 120, whatever have you, that through attrition, that are in the program at any given time. So there's a tremendous amount of camaraderie together. I mean, we have clubs, we have different things that really students are excelling, and the cohorts together are finding not only employment, but also opportunities. And, we have several different opportunities like capstones that they're doing business models, and they're establishing a laboratory from scratch and really thinking through the process of what that takes. With regards to admission, we as an institution have certain proficiencies that they need to pass prior to getting into the program. And which are the reading, writing, and the mathematics, which is not just to our not only to the restorative dentistry program, but it's to the City University as a whole. Then once they are proficient and they're able to matriculate into our program, they have to maintain a certain GPA, or even entering in there needs to be a certain GPA, which is the average, as well as maintain it throughout the course. And they come through, they travel through, for lack of better terms, as a cohort through. So typically, if it's, as I said, 60 students are starting, we may have, being one of the standards with the Commission on Dental Accreditation, the class size just shrunk from 15 per laboratory to now 12. And that's just one of their standards. So you have anywhere from 4 to 5 different sections that they tend to travel through the program together as a cohort. So, because that's where with the laboratories and didactic, we have most dental laboratories labs, say, is a 5-hour experiential, which means hands-on, with a 1-hour didactic per week. And our semesters are 15-week sessions, and we have 4 of them throughout the 2 years. So they really get to know one another. We're constantly striving to bring in external education as well as encourage lifetime learning. So they're out and about in conferences and conventions and doing webinars similar to this and watching and learning. We really instill in them a true lifetime learning experience, because although it's a very robust and great program that really gives them the true foundation of what dental technology and how to be successful with dental technology, but a lot of the learning curve happens in the laboratory. So the only way to really achieve that is by continuously learning and expanding and improving on not only the skill, but also the knowledge base. So whether we have 60 students come in, we typically in the fall, we only take in the fall, which is end of August, early September. And then again, for the second year, it's obviously, again, September and October, and they matriculate through, where 60 first incoming students, and then we're graduating anywhere from about 45 to 55, depending on the year thereafter.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of people coming in, and that's great.
Yes.
Nicole, how about you? How many students do you basically accept yearly into your program?
Okay, so the METC Dental Technician Program, we are an open enrollment program. So they're in a response to your initial question, there isn't anything in terms of a formal requirement other than an application to the program and then an application to the coursework. We run and operate on a structure of 2 classes offered at a time. And again, like theoretical and practical study in combination of that. Some of it is offered online, some of it is offered in a blended hybrid type of format. We accept 12 students in at this time at the start of the year. We've been blessed to have a wait list with the program for the last couple of years, and we've continued growth in that state. During COVID times, we were offering it at 10 students to start in a cohort. So it's nice to see the 20% growth this year, and I anticipate that we will have potential growth again to open up additional seats planning for next year. As Daniel mentioned, it's very critically important to get students acclimated right away and involved in industry. We participate in webinars and continuing education events, and also, Voices from the Bench podcast, things of that nature, to let students know that the architecture of our industry is very open and very versatile. And so there's so many different dynamics as to who gravitates in and what goals they have in that experience. And so it's nice to know and hear from practical application, different takes on that, to let students know there again what's possible, and that everyone can find a place and interest in our industry.
Absolutely. And I just want to ask, as far as your curriculums go, is there room for, let's say, a prospective student to say, you know what, I want to specialize and I want to be in removables, or I just want to do fixed, or I just want to be a designer? How does that work?
So I can certainly speak to that, if I may. So we have 3 or 4 semesters of fixed crown and bridge. We have 3 semesters of crown and bridge. We have 3 semesters of ceramics, 2 semesters of removable dentures, 3 rather, and 3 semesters of dentures. On the last semester, prior to them graduating, there is a specialty courses, which are ceramic practicum, which are very much capstones that allow them to bring in or bridge all the content and all the experience and the knowledge that they had throughout the 3 semesters. And obviously, we continuously scale upwards. So the ceramic practicum, we teach them dental implantology, which is one of the specialties as well. And we either offer a maxillofacial as one of the classes in order to, as a specialty, which is more on the removable side. But, students are subjected to, fabricating or manufacturing an eyeball or an ear or something to that. So they're really exposed to not only the niche type of, but also the complete gamut. So in ceramic practicum and the implantology course, this is the 2 courses that I teach, which are capstone courses. We're doing a 6 anterior smile design. and understanding not only the smile design, but the properties, the shading, and how does the ceramic overlay and how the contrast and colors really mimic nature in order to get them to be as most productive for prospective laboratory owners. So they're all the way through. So they're subjected to 3 or 4 different times throughout the 2 years. And when I say times, it's a 15-week semester. So they're
Okay.
and all the 6 modalities that are now within dental technology, they're exposed to in a great way throughout the full 2 years. And again, we keep scaling where we're starting in a introductory level, then we get into perhaps a little more sophisticated, but then when we get to the 4th semester, that's when they really specialize and they choose which one. Now, truth be told, they only need to one of those specialties in order to graduate, but we have plenty of students that are doing 2 of those specialties or even 3, which is a tremendous workload, but they just love it. And it's an opportunity for them to learn more, because the more our students learn, and this is something that, we express to them often, that's their tool. It's what I call dental intelligence. And that's what really allows them to truly excel and offer a tremendous value to the laboratory that they'll be employed in, or their clientele if they choose to open up a laboratory thereafter. So it's a value add in a big way, and education is truly powerful. And that's what we encourage them to continuously reap that and also continuously improve upon that and develop it even further.
Thank you, Dan. Nicole?
Yes, absolutely. Students are able to pick a selective area of interest and to absolutely specialize in that area and then find placement immediately upon graduation. As Daniel mentioned, I know that they're in a little bit of a longer week structure than we are. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but we are currently structured at 8 weeks in our courses. So there's 4 courses in fall, there are 4 courses in spring. And again, combinations of theoretical and practical study. In the practical, we move back and forth between traditional methods of fabrication as well as digital applications. And so it's very nice because it's so well-rounded that once students graduate in that exposure, they know initially where they have interest and where they would kind of like to take that experience and move on. They start with a big, strong foundation to be able to initially start and be acclimated and comfortable. We're well-versed, and as Daniel mentioned too, we run off of a team dynamic, obviously facilitating individualized goals and specializing in making sure that students feel supported in those ventures of opportunity of learning. But there is a team dynamic to the lab in our industry as well. And we definitely make sure that that is instilled in our graduates. And so they're able to seamlessly fall into travels of communication and again, like analyzing potential management opportunities and ownership as well.
Awesome. So there is a business application there as well. And I love that.
Absolutely.
As far as exams go, now, Daniel, are your students able to sit for the CDT upon completion of your program?
Yes, absolutely. So the being a CODA accredited, again, it's Commission on Dental Accreditation program, they're able to sit for all 3 exams, although we encourage them to take the RG, which is a recognized graduate designation, which is really the same as the comprehensive exam. Just being that they've graduated from an approved program, it becomes a recognized graduate designation. Then we also encourage them, if they've decided as to what path they may choose to go into the laboratory and specialize in, the smallest subset, which is the 2nd exam, is the specialty exam. And we actually encourage them to do both at the same time, because they've just immersed themselves in 2 years of education. And what better opportunity there is than to sit for the exam. Now, it is a lengthy exam, and it does require several hours, but most of our students do it without any hesitation. The practical side, we've had students that have taken the 5-hour and 15 minutes, what have you, practical hands-on exam, which is the 3rd exam in order to become a certified dental technician. We've had some students with great success, but we do tell them that they should go out into the workforce and become more proficient. And that's just a matter of practice. With practice becomes speed, because it is a timely exam. So there needs to be several proficiencies within the exam, and it is assessed by 3 master's certified dental technicians. So they need to be able to accomplish the complete task with all the way through, depending on the specialty, but not only accomplish it, but also accomplish it within the allowed time. And not just a matter of being able to be out there, work the work, do the work, and practice in order to gain that experiential speed in order to complete it. So some students are able to, but the majority of them, we're telling them to gain that work experience in order to not get tripped up on the timing of it, which again is a shame if they don't pass because they need another half hour or another 20 minutes or something to that effect.
Right. That's heartbreaking. I'm sure it happens if they're not, proficient as far as speed goes with getting things done. So that's a good idea to give them that advice, like work a little, get your speed up. It's good. Nicole, how about you? I know that with your program, they can sit within a year for the RG. Am I correct with that?
Yes,
Work experience for the CDT?
absolutely. So they're able to sit immediately within 1 year graduation for the RG examination. As Daniel mentioned, that's an equivalent to the comprehensive. And then from there, if they're going to move on to certification as a CDT, a certified dental technician, to take the specialty exam and the practical exam, they need an additional 3 years of work experience first after passing the RG examination.
Awesome.
And wonderful opportunities. And I would agree in the coaching as well. I do coach my students to let them know what opportunities there are available, but that there again, once they graduate, it's a matter of getting into the lab and getting more acclimated to build up the speed dynamic.
Awesome. So I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about what your program offers as far as in the lab, equipment, software. How does that look, Dan?
So as I said, in the laboratory, we do a lot of where we do conventional. So we still pour up models, we'll still Pindex them, we still go ahead and even wax for a PFM because they need to understand not only it offers a didactic opportunity to really have a hands-on component to it. And then we duplicate that obviously in different materials, but through digital means. So they're getting the same education. And that's where I said earlier, we meet the standards and significantly exceed it because they're exposed to so much more. The idea is what we constantly look at, and we keep doing workplace analysis where we want to maintain and provide the community, the professional community, and the students where they're at the same pace or as close as possible to what they'll experience on the outside within a laboratory. So currently, obviously, we do all the, as I said, the conventional modalities of the process, including casting, including everything all the way through and stacking porcelain on PFMs or zirconia or whatever have you. But they do the same also with digital means. So we have 3Shape scanners. We also have the Sirona scanner. We have several others, as well as we have milling capabilities and 3D capabilities that every single student is 3D printing, that is. Every single student is able to be exposed to it, see it, feel it. We find that the conventional really helps the hand-eye coordination and being able to experience it and see it in their hands. That lends itself to easier processing or easier workflow through the digital means because now they've touched it, they've seen it, they felt it, they smelled it, whatever the case may be, but now they're looking at it on the computer and they're able to do the same thing. So we walk them through. Specifically, I teach the CAD/CAM course, which is the first course in the country that we've established that is, again, Commission on Dental Accreditation approved. It's within a program. And then once we've successfully have done it here in New York, I've actually helped other accredited programs establish much of the same. So they're walking through everything from, simple copings, anatomical copings, to full contour. And obviously we start again, because I scaffold everything. So we start with single restorations, then we go to smaller bridges, and then we do full, including the 6 anterior smile design, as well as a full roundhouse. So, and that then becomes the CAD portion of the education. Again, it comes after they've seen it in conventional means, but they're now able to do the same in the CAD opportunity, and then we output it. So the ceramic practicum, which is the specialty course that I mentioned earlier, is they're stacking porcelain on top of zirconia restorations that they designed and they milled. So each student gets really, really hands-on and gets into the weeds for their own cases. to accomplish that with a designed, milled, and 3D printing the models. So they're subjected to all of it, from conventional to digital and everything in between.
Awesome. And how about you, Nicole?
Um,
Analog to digital design, how's that looking in your program?
Yep, absolutely. So we have CAD software in place and CAM ability as well. We do not have an in-house mill at this time, but we are outsourcing our milling for our needs in that way. But it is start to finish. We are moving back and forth between traditional and digital means. So, as Daniel mentioned, we're very much on par with what he just outlined. This year, we debuted a CAD CAM course that was a standalone course that was added to the program coursework, which I designed and developed. And so it's great to be in that space and place, but our graduates of the past 2-year programs have had that availability as well, just in a little bit more of a blended format. So it's nice that we have the standalone course to help support those efforts, but we also continue to use those digital means and traditional means in the standalone courses to support that as well. And so I agree that, there again, we have a lot of different dynamics of learners. Some are visual, some are kinesthetic, some need more so the verbal communication. And so in support of that, it is a wonderful translation to be able to go through the traditional portions of process and have the learning space and capacity with that and get very hands-on, as Daniel mentioned, to see the corrections that occur and the dynamic of what shifts that we can control when we move into digital space. And so students have had a lot of success with this. And so we're excited to have that in our offering.
So Nicole, I want to ask you, I know that, digital designers are really people are really looking for them. They're really, hard to come by from what I'm hearing in the industry. Are you focusing a lot on digital design with, let's say, 3Shape, or how are you working that out in your curriculum?
Well, absolutely. I think that that's obviously like a direction that we want to support. And there again, we want to have the direct value, as mentioned, for industry reflection to reflect our educational programs as well. We've gone through a lot of transitional change as an entire industry the last 15 years, and our education, should reflect that as well in terms of our experiences and our students graduating and finding placement. And so absolutely. If we are waxing a coping by hand, we're also digitally designing one, either 3D printing it or milling it, and so on and so forth as we move it up in structure to add bridge work. We stay within the fixed prosthodontic space for our digital portions of learning right now.
Okay.
For complete dentures, we are still in a traditional or analog space. I think that's going to obviously transition and change in the future with the curriculum, and discussions of that are already happening. But I think with that, it took us a little bit in industry, like we've had that big surge and boom of digital dentures over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And so labs are starting to inherit that more and more, where it's more appropriately placed to build that into our education values as well.
Excellent, because they are definitely in demand, that's for sure. Matt, I want to ask you, with our ongoing education at Zahn, are you finding that there is an awful lot of calls that your trainers are receiving as far as how to design, how to use design software? Is that something that you're finding that you're getting a lot of calls in that respect, and doing a lot of training in that respect?
Yeah, so definitely, we definitely see a lot of calls with respect to new customers, especially when they received the new software or new equipment that they have no experience on. We definitely go through the beginning to the end of the ABCs or basics of the software that allow them to kind of utilize and learn off of that. But as we see, customers grow or advance their on add to their software as sort of modules or packages that they can add onto there, we see the kind of need for additional learning or additional education in the software side relative to the new design software that they're not used to necessarily, or they haven't had experience with prior. So it allows us to kind of tackle both ends of the spectrum, where we have new customers coming in and seeing a lot of those design calls coming in relative to simple basics like crown and bridge or implant designing as far as that goes. But we also see a lot of calls coming in for customers who have had that experience and looking to develop or advance their knowledge on the software design on the more complex side of things. So like implant bridges, or a full mouth restoration, or the digital dentures like we saw we just talked about how that's, you know, a new venture within our CAD/CAM society, I guess you'd say today. That's been a lot more of a question as far as the designs that we come across, because people aren't as familiar with it, but there's that curiosity and that need to kind of develop that within their own curriculum or their own standing within their lab. So it allows us to go ahead and answer those questions and be ready to help them be successful with those pieces of the software.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And Fran, if I may add also, you know, one of the things, you know, we benefit, and, you know, Zahn Academy is very much a part of the wheel, for lack of better terms, because, you know, we've purchased in the past, you know, three shape scanners, as well as the mill from Zahn. And what's occurred is, you know, not only has a trainer come out to our facility in order to install, but and give a quick overview to the faculty as well as some of the students for what the process is in the installation and everything, which again adds value to these students because they're more in tune and touched. And also, whenever anything goes, you know, perhaps a little sideways, we always can rely on calling Zahn Academy and specifically Matt, who's fantastic, where we're able to resolve any issues quickly. Lastly, we use Zahn Academy also to support the learning that the students are doing. And in fact, in the CAD/CAM courses, we do have standalone several CAD/CAM courses. We actually resource that to the students where they're able to get on to Zahn Academy, see videos, see designs, and in a more digestible, smaller packets. So you have them learning, and then they tend to continue through all the library and all the series of and it helps me as an instructor too, because not only am I teaching them didactic and I'm teaching them the experiential hands-on, but now they're able to go into a library, if have you, where they can see the information, they can learn, they can hear very much the similar things, and perhaps even things that they haven't learned in class. And it really fortifies and makes a great, you know, a part of the education process. And I just wanted to comment on that as well.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I mean, you know, we definitely have a very large library at you know, anyone's fingertips at any time, you know, and especially our live webinars like we have, I mean, weekly. It's just a vast amount of information and support, and kudos to Matt and his team, because they really, you know, they're learning every day to keep up, because our digital landscape is changing every day. And that's really another question that I want to, you know, hone in on with you guys is, how do you keep up with everything that's changing as far as new pieces of equipment, 3D printing, new printers that are coming out every day, the vast, you know, variety of different resins that are coming out every day. I mean, are you using, you know, let's say, you know, the Trusana resin for printing teeth in any of your curriculums, or let's say Desktop Health's Flexera? Like, how are you bringing all of this new technology and materials into your program and just keeping everybody current and keeping your program current?
So I don't know if you want me to take it or.
Yes, please. And then I'll
Sure.
I'm happy to jump in too.
Absolutely.
Yes,
so, you know, we're constantly engaged as a faculty, as a program, as a department. We're very engaged. Obviously, I'm privileged to be in many conferences and also have a network of professionals and friends that I'm able to, you know, speak with, consult with, advise with, to see what is the newest and leading trend in dental laboratories, specifically both technologically as well as materials, because materials play a huge role in the equation. So seeing and recognizing what those may provide our students, exposing our students to all those. They may not always have the actual product at hand, but they're certainly well versed and explained what it is that we're seeing. We also encourage our students to go to conferences with us, along with us, because again, as faculty members, if they see us there, they know that it's what's the right thing, and that's what they will be doing. You know, we can't just send them to a conference and not be there as well, because then it's like, you know, do as I say, not as I do type of thing. So we always want to show them that it's the greatest and best, and then bring that into the classroom. And we certainly do that. We talk about different material sciences, and like you said, they're evolving continuously every single day. Well, not every day, but certainly every year. the innovations, and also the understanding that a lot of the materials, perhaps as little as 10 years ago, were just not imaginable. We just didn't have that path to create a very complex restoration with a better material, specifically for the oral environment, biomechanics, and so on and so forth, that it lends itself to a conversation. So do we have the materials? We absolutely do. We have plenty of materials. Do we have them all? No, because I think it's very difficult to have them all. But with that said, being here in New York and being the oldest and largest program in dental technology and throughout the nation, it affords us some opportunities of other manufacturers coming in. We have several manufacturers that come here to the college. It was a little tough during COVID, but now it's starting to pick back up, where they come in, they present on their materials. So we have not only speakers from international realm, but also manufacturers that are coming in, getting to know our students, the students getting to know them, talking about the different materials, the different technologies that they may have. And we do that on a quite regular basis. So the students actually look forward, because it's somebody from industry, it's somebody from the profession that's coming in and educating them on what is the newest and greatest and latest. So they go out also to a professional societies. In particular, we do the National Gynecological Society, which they attend 2 sessions every single year. Again, it networks with like-minded clinicians, like-minded technicians, like-minded professionals, and they're hearing about the newest technology and the newest materials. So it's really a tremendous effort, but it's something that is incredibly rewarding, again, with the premise to get them as best as possible to get into the profession and be gainfully employed and share a value to the laboratory in accepting them in as a technician.
Nicole.
Very much in alignment with what was just mentioned and said. We do have all different types of technical discussions. We study all different types of materials. We use what's most commonly used in our area and our tri-state area. There is a program advisory board for the program that is filled with industry professionals who are able to speak and give feedback on the materials that are used, as well as the curriculum that is being developed and taught in the program. So I'm very appreciative to that as well. I personally stay very involved in industry and obviously teach without a bias. So in that education value there, again, like, it's always presenting opportunity to make sure that the graduate and student is vetted in their experience to know that there's multiple ways of processing and what that looks like in that type of operation, to make that connection so that they're, again, when they graduate, they are ready and able to be placed and to be able to run with it. And so with that, they're, again, just staying involved and making sure that we are evolving education as it should be with the alignment of our industry.
Thank you. And you know what, like you hit it on the head. It's like they are able to touch, feel, see, being unbiased and being up to date with what's actually out there in the industry. So they're getting a taste of it, which is so important.
Absolutely.
Matt, I just want to ask you, as far as Zahn, how do we stay current? How does your division stay current with what's going on out there? All the changes in resins, all the changes in equipment.
One of the hardest things to do, having to understand all those different types of materials and types of machines and whatnot. But the biggest thing that we do is just continued use and understanding as far as the individualized, technical support agents that we have. They all go through process of training that allows them to get the basics on what they're kind of like our major aspects or top contenders as far as support calls go. But then they also allow us to kind of go a little bit deeper into the offerings that each of those manufacturers may have relative to their machines or their materials as well, and get a better understanding of that and how that relates to the customer. And it's more of a personal experience and hands-on experience that they gain with that allows them to stay concurrent with that. And then that knowledge kind of transfers as we see the materials kind of take on similar characteristics and whatnot. But then we kind of identify those outlying characteristics that make it a little bit different, a little bit better, or a little bit more shiny to the customer. and allows us to kind of identify those characteristics and help them to utilize that to the best of the capabilities. But all this comes through a lot of information being given from the vendors to us, and then us relaying it back into the team so that we can go ahead and provide the best information to our customers and allow them to be successful with their equipment.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt. So I want to talk a little bit about like extracurricular things that you do with your students. One, Daniel, you did bring up the Nathological Society, which was a multidisciplinary meeting that Zahn was really happy to participate with. We kind of sponsored, or we did sponsor, I believe, for students to join that might not have been able to do that. And I was really privileged to be there, to be able to go to that meeting and really see dentistry at its best. And that is something that I was in awe, I have to tell you, of being part of it and being able to see the students really take part in something that they were also in awe of, to see like this, everybody coming together, as far as oral surgeons, as far as, perio, as far as prostho, as far as, dental laboratory technicians, all coming together and talking about their cases. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was and how often those meetings take place?
Sure, absolutely. And I just want to again publicly thank you, Beth and Zahn, for supporting our students in that way, which really was a experience and a moment in their lives that they will never forget. So I can't thank you enough. But we do a lot of outreach and a lot of experiential kind of learning and connecting the students with. So, for example, and if we had, and again, a lot of this is prior to COVID. COVID obviously threw a wrench into things, but we've done where students, and I believe Zahn supported them as well, to go down to Jamaica to have a mission where they spent a week in Jamaica, and they've actually helped with a dental society that created dentures for folks that are unable to attain dentistry. So whether it's a Nathological Society, as you just mentioned, whether it's missions, we also used to, and hopefully it rebounds back, Noble Biocare, that is right on the other side of the Hudson River in New Jersey, in Mahwah, New Jersey. Every year I arrange for all 60 students that were graduating. Again, it might be 50 or at 55, but we've arranged for a bus to take them for a day at Noble Biocare. So they were able to see behind the scenes how an implant manufacturer fabricates or manufactures implant components. It was a full day of education. They were able to see the equipment, and they even were able to, experience what they had then, whether it was through their scanner as well as their software in order to design. And it was really a great experience. We have other type of trips like that. Creodent, for one, also which is a laboratory and a milling center, has invited us, and we do plan on taking them up on their offer. As well as other companies. But the idea is, there's so much more to be learned outside of just our four walls. I mean, we teach them a tremendous amount. As I noted before, we bring a lot of speakers and manufacturers to teach them as well. And we go out, whether it's seminars or conventions or even visiting these manufacturers. In New York, we're privileged to be around a lot of great stuff. And we exercise it as best as we can. We include even NYU Dental School. Our students go and have that synergy there, as well as Stony Brook University has invited us, and other universities as well. But what I want to mention, specifically as the mission and opportunity, the charitable, one of the blessings that I look at in a major way is not only filling a void in our profession in a great way, because they're very much in need, and we get phone calls all the time that technicians are required and necessary and needed, and there's a shortage of talent, if have you. But for me also, seeing these kids, and I call them kids, but they're all adults, but I might be aging myself, but nonetheless, we are affecting a huge, multi-generational change in their families. Some of them come from places where perhaps, their futures may not be as optimal, but we're teaching them a profession and a skill that not only affects a tremendous change for them and their livelihood, but also it elevates the entire family and multi-generational. And that's just incredibly rewarding for me as a professor and instructor to be able to touch a life in that way and know that it's not just that one student, but it really expands beyond to their family, multi-generational, even friends, where they're moving and really rocking and rolling out there. So it's really an opportunity. We've had other opportunities where national laboratories and national outfits that have come into our program have spoken to our students and have even offered relocation funds in order to have them move to, South Carolina, to Florida, or to whatever have you. So those are all things that I consider as blessings, because we never know where our life leads, but having an impact to somebody's life in the positive direction is what gets me up in the morning exciting. So that's, just wanted to share that, but thank you.
Thank you. Well, that kind of on-site learning is priceless. I mean, Nicole, I'm sure you could say the same. I mean, going to meetings and, probably bringing your students over there to talk to different manufacturers about different things, or going into any of the, educational courses that are at these meetings, priceless. I mean, like you're saying, around, and there's a lot more learning that takes place outside of your program's walls. How do you feel about that, Nicole? Do you think that that's something that you guys like to do with your students and you feel it's most beneficial?
Absolutely. The goal here at MATC is to meet every learner where they are in their journey and their goal of education. And in that aspect, it's, really the reason, the core credential of being here is to empower students to become dental technicians and to enter our industry. It's a twofold gift. As Daniel mentioned, we have many first-year graduate students or first in their family to go to school for formal education. Everyone is coming from a different walk of life. We have a very diverse, equitable, and inclusive teaching environment here. And with that, it's amazing to see that transformation transpire and to be a part of that process. We do have a lot of support outside with, national affiliations who have come in and offered to speak or offered continuing education. We do also participate in any donational effects as well on opportunities. Mission of Mercy is something that hasn't been held here the last couple of years just because of COVID and whatnot. So I know that will be a future opportunity depending upon when that takes place to see if students will be able to participate in that event and effort. But yes, I mean, we are very appreciative of, those interactions and do want to get students involved right away to be able to participate in them. And so the goal is to just continue that and to, create a bigger splash in the water, a ripple effect, if you will, because everybody has a different goal and a different takeaway from this.
And it's never too late, right, to, embark on this journey of furthering your education, whether, you started out, like you had told me once, like some of your students have been on the clinical side, right? They've been assistants or hygienists that wanted to change their career and started a career in dental technology. You want to explain to us a little bit about that, Nicole?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that we do too, and I was going to mention, is that we do partner with the clinical programs as well. So like dental assisting, dental hygiene, we'll have students come in, our students will educate them on materials. Their students will give us feedback upon impressions, and we'll kind of just have more so a dynamic of conversation and learning in that space. I do have a lot of students that are not, they're looking to be in dental, but they are not primarily driven off of having patient to patient direct contact interactions and being comfortable sitting intraorally. So they do want to be and stay a part of that restorative dynamic of family, and they find dental technician and dental technology of interest to them. And so they're really seeking the program out for that opportunity and really falling in love with it, which is just so inspiring to see. Obviously, I have a great love, a deep passion for our world, for our work. We're critically important. And so it's an honor to be a part of the process, to be able to empower individuals that are entering our industry and really are going to carry it forward in the future.
I mean, I say it all the time, and I say it probably at every webinar, like what an admirable job being a laboratory technician is. I mean, your expertise and, just is so critically important with the clinical team to give a patient a smile again, or give a patient, the means to be able to speak properly or chew their food properly. I mean, it's just something that, we don't really look at as, at the end of the day, your work and your artistry is going to really enhance someone's life, a human being's life. So it's so important. And these education, programs are so important as well. Matt, I just wanted to touch with you again on Zahn, and do you feel that let's say a student comes out and they want to learn a little bit about what it's like on the corporate side to be working maybe on your team, like how does that look?
So if they come to us with the request to be on our team, obviously we look for the basic knowledge of what they have relative to the dental industry, but more so the passion of helping people beyond that. They need to understand that it's not just about the knowledge that goes into it, because anybody can develop that knowledge over time, or come across that knowledge and kind of develop their own interest into it, develop it on their own. They have to be able to kind of take that and kind of work in a customer service aspect as well, and help the customers understand that it's not just an issue that's going wrong with them. It's hindering their process and not allowing them to kind of move forward with their process in the way that they need to be adequate and efficient with. So we kind of look into those two spaces and to see whether or not that person is going to be a good fit for the team, because it can't just be one aspect that you're excelling in but lacking in another. You kind of have to have a bridge of both worlds to be successful with this, because if we're not successful with both aspects, the customer service and the dental aspect, then we're leaving lacking on our customers on one of those two fields, and they don't feel confident with us, which is never a good thing to have, because we want people to be successful. We want them to have confidence within our team. So we need to kind of see what both of those worlds meet together and how they can be best suited for our customers.
Thank you. So the next question I want to ask is, do you encourage your graduates to join organizations to stay current with what's going on out there? Explain to them, subscribing to the magazines like IDT and things like that. Do they start out doing that upon completion of these programs right away? Is that something that you all encourage?
Absolutely. Daniel, if you don't mind, I'll jump in.
Sure.
With that, the first week we talk and are equipped with, all of the professional websites in our industry, and also just all the professional opportunities for connections. We go through and make sure that they have access to not only those websites, but the direct connections where applicable, to be able to reach out and take next steps of opportunity in those ventures. And so it's very important. And especially what's beautiful about our world and our industry right now too, is just how much collective sharing there is. There again, thankful to Zahn for all of the inspiring and engaging opportunities there are for additional education. And it only benefits graduates and students to be able to take on and know that those opportunities exist, and to get immediately involved with them, and to know where they can potentially take their careers, and how inspiring it is to see what others are doing in these spaces and what's possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for our program, the answer is absolutely. But we'd rather start in the very beginning rather than after graduation, only because if we can cultivate the lifetime learner environment and mindset, they will continue after graduation with doing the same. So, subscriptions to magazines is certainly front and center, because that's a way for them to, again, learn from other respected dental technicians that are providing or facilitating a case study for them to see how the case travels through. Because let's face it, every single case is slightly different in one way or another. And one of the things, and I think the priority of what our program teaches is, yes, technical proficiency, but also critical thinking and problem solving. They're not always going to get the same educational model, the same case every single time. And the only way for them to truly learn that is by seeing multiple examples of different situations, oral situations. So magazines is certainly, they sign up for subscriptions right away, and literally in the first semester. Then also, as I said, with conventions and seminars, one of the things that's great is that many of the groups locally offer student discounts. So it makes the financial challenge that much easier. And as we said, Zahn supported 4 of our students for one of these type of situations. So whether it's that, or whether it's courses, whether it's Zahn Academy, they're continuously told or coached rather, to that they need to be lifetime learners, because truth be told, their future is in their own hands. We can teach them what we can teach them, but what they'll accomplish from everything that we've taught them is really in their own hands. And, one of the sayings that we keep saying, and it has to do with also dentistry, is if the effort is not in with what you're trying to achieve, you can't expect great returns on that effort. So if you're putting in a lot in, you're going to get a lot in return. But that is the kind of the atmosphere and the mindset that we try to instill in them, that it's really up to them to continuously learn and continuously improve and continuously push the envelope for their success.
And
Thank you, Dan.
Fran,
Go
if I
ahead.
can jump in too, oh,
course.
sorry. I was just going to mention that one other thing too is like the Foundation for Dental Laboratory Technology is another big, tool and resource that we want to connect students with right away as well. Because their option is available to them to be able to take the RG exam if they want to apply for the scholarship that's available to support that opportunity, and other educational opportunities as well. That's also a great and critical area to get them connected with right away too. So, as Daniel said, we like to make sure that those tools are in place right away and that they're motivated, inspired, feel connected, and know that there is just so much potential of opportunity in this space.
Great, thank you. I want to ask you, Nicole, how do you feel? Do you feel that there are more jobs than graduating students right now out there?
Absolutely. I will say that the last few years, there has been more than triple the amount of job opportunities for the graduates that were exiting the program. And I think that's wonderful to see, because it shows what potential there is. But it's also critically important that, there again, like those opportunities and any additional, if someone is not connected to a local program or even an out-of-state program, to be able to post these potential opportunities to graduates. As Daniel mentioned earlier, we do have packages that have been offered for students to relocate and even remote work. Matt, I'm sure you have some people that are remote on your teams as well. And so it's really important just to have the conversation to establish just a rapport, a connection, to be able to communicate these opportunities to students, because they are actively looking. I think what's advantageous for a graduate is that they don't have to graduate and only look at maybe 1 or 2 things that are on the table. They can really more so dynamically choose in that selection what they feel drawn to. And so I just really encourage any potential employer, any lab, any manufacturer, anyone with a in-state option where you have a formal education program, or even if a remote application, to definitely connect and post those opportunities, because students appreciate seeing them, and participate in the career fairs that are offered at the colleges too, because those are also wonderful ways to connect with students as well.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. Dan, any closing comments that you want to make?
No, just that it's just to add to respond to that question. We too also are privileged to have more job opportunities than we have students. And, every student has several options from different laboratories. And that's also, again, it's not just a matter of being an educator. It's also a matter of being a mentor or a coach, because we have these conversations, because for every laboratory, there's a different technician. For every technician, there's a different laboratory. And it's more of what is going to suit, or, one of the things, I even had this conversation earlier this morning, where we spend most of our time at work, more so than with friends, more so than with family, more so than with anything else. So one of the crux of it is to make sure that wherever you are spending the bulk of your time, you need to be happy. And that's a conversation that we have with our students. And, it's one-on-one. And this is then leads not only for their first employment, and they have, like I said, a choice of multiple opportunities, but then when they're in the workforce, I'm getting phone calls every day multiple times from students that perhaps graduated 5-6 years ago, just seeking advice, seeking what it is that they can improve upon to transition to the next level of their careers. And I just feel incredibly blessed, like I said earlier, not only to be a part of that for the profession, to be a part of that in the journey of a dental technician. And what we're doing is truly noble. We're changing people's lives. And by us educating technicians that affect those positive changes in people's lives, I feel incredibly blessed and living my best life. So I'm very grateful for that.
I love that. Matt, any closing remarks from you?
Just to pair it off of what Dan just said, it's really nice that this industry is so passionate. Everybody else in this industry has a strong passion for it. And so as trainers and as technical support agents, we need to make sure that we kind of mirror that same passion so that we're giving them the same sort of support, the same sort of understanding that they're going through with their issues, and understanding that, whether it's an education issue or if it's a technical support issue, we're addressing it with the same sort of passion that they have for treating those people that they're looking to help with, so that we, can be successful on both ends. And so I think that's very important. I enjoy it so much. So
thank you, and it shows with your team as well. So thank you for all that you do for Zahn and for all of our customers out there. And Dan and Nicole, I can't thank you enough for joining us today and giving us your insight and your knowledge. We do have some contact information that we will be putting up on the screen in just a few minutes of how you can get in touch with either Nicole or Daniel's programs, as well as our technical support team and Matt, if need be. But I'd like to take this time to thank our attendees as well for joining us today. If you have not taken the time to allocate some higher learning for either yourself or for your employees, now's the time to really do it in this ever-changing landscape. If you've been putting off purchasing that piece of digital equipment, maybe that's that you've been wanting to take advantage of, maybe some design service that you've been thinking about taking advantage of, now's the time to embark on that, because Zahn could make it very easy to bring your lab to that next level. So you can contact your Zahn representative to learn more about the special promotions that we have on purchasing equipment and learn about our new financing program that's called Route 66. Route 66 offers no payments for 6 months, and that means you won't have to pay well into 2023. So remember, we not only sell you that equipment, but Matt and his team of experts will educate you from the time of your sale through, set up to the training and use and care of that equipment. So you can rely on us. We're here to help. And thank you, everybody, for a wonderful webinar today. I'm sure we have inspired quite a few people to go ahead and take that leap into possibly furthering their education. So I'd like to thank everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much.